Hi, I'm Kevin Rutherford. Welcome to RG's Talent Tips. Today I'm going to show you how to create an HR-driven environmental scan and SWOT analysis. So let's dive right in. An environmental scan is the first step in both business and HR strategic planning. In each case, it's an effort to give the organization a clear, complete, and accurate image of itself, both internally and in relation to the outside world. In strategic planning, the organization collects data about both the external and the internal influences that will affect its overall mission, vision, goals, and strategies for the future. On the flip side, HR or workforce planning, the organization collects HR data about topics that relate specifically to workforce supply, demand, knowledge, skills, and abilities. These are then used to understand fully the internal and external factors and trends that may affect its current workforce needs in order to plan successfully for the future. So today I'm going to share an environmental scanning tool as well as an example People SWOT that we use with clients. And then I'll walk you through each step. So as I discussed earlier, an environmental scan looks at the information available in the internal and external environments to obtain a clear and accurate image of the organization and its circumstances. So let's start by looking at this 2x2 diagram. So you can see here we have internal along the bottom and we have external along the top. And then we have demand and we have supply. So the first thing that we want to look at as an organization relates to what is the talent that we have today. That is under supply. Generally, we would get this information based on our existing reports or workforce analytics tools. These are going to be things like gender data, age data, status in terms of their jobs. So it might be exempt versus non-exempt or hourly versus salaried. It's also going to be things like geography, where are people located, and the length of service, what's their time in service, and how long have they been here, and how many people are under 6 months and 12 months and more than 12 to 24 months. All of those things are very specific data elements that we can choose to create essentially a CAT scan of the organization today. What is it that we look like exactly? Then we also want to look at trends in this part. And trends are going to be things that are focused on, say, things like turnover. It'll also be focused on overtime information. Anything that kind of guides us in the sense of where is the business today and kind of where is it inching towards? This is all about the talent we have. Now, quite frankly, I see a lot of organizations do a very good job in this particular category. It's because they already have information. So if you've got good data, good workforce analytics, a good system in place, this should not be difficult for you. This is kind of where are we? Think of this as we talked about earlier, this is the current state. Now, moving to internal demand, think of this as our future state. Remember in the other video we talked about going from where are we to where we want to be in the future. This is based on the talent that we need. And generally we get this talent that we need from our business strategy. It could be from service level agreements. It could be from joint alliances that you create. Any of these things in here like budgets and client or survey information, all of these things really tell us what is the talent that we need in the future. And that could be based on skill set, that could be based on numbers. So typically we're looking at gaps in staff, which is number of people, gaps in competencies, which is knowledge, skills, and abilities, and then let's say gaps in workforce profile. That's what is the demographics. Maybe we need a younger workforce, maybe we need an older workforce, maybe we need a more educated or a less educated workforce. All of these things really tell us what is it that we need. Now again, the focus here is on internal. Now we want to look and say externally. So just like the business when they do their pest analysis and look kind of macro factors above, we're going to do the same here. So the first thing we're going to look at is the external supply. And that is essentially the availability of talent that we need in the marketplaces that we serve. So if we move, let's say we're going into a new region or a new country or a new market, is the talent that we need available? I can remember many times I've had clients discussions and we had this conversation about, okay, If we're moving to this market, are there enough engineers, specifically, let's say petroleum engineers or chemical engineers available in the market? Maybe there might not be enough, let's say, project managers in the area. It's really looking at, is the talent available in the markets we're going to serve? And that's oftentimes related to geography, it's related to skill set. So again, is the talent available? Because if the talent's not available, you're going to have a difficult time staffing. A good example of that is when Disney opened Disney Europe. And originally they were looking in Paris, but it's outside of Paris. So their ability to find talent was more difficult, and then they actually had to bus people in because the availability of talent wasn't right there at the pay rate they wanted, who had the skill set and the high customer service skills they needed. Then we come over and look lastly at what is the external demand. And this is the macro factors that are impacting our talent needs. We talked about this with the business, so it's political, economic, social, technological, legislative, environmental. All of those same factors have an impact on the talent that we're able to get in a macro market. So who else is actually competing for that talent? So as you can see right now, a good example is in one particular area, let's say I'm a technology company and we're really going all in on AI, artificial intelligence. So that we need AI programmers, we need AI analysts, we need everybody related to the AI field. Well, there's a lot of other people jumping into that same space. And as a consequence, the demand is high and the supply is going to be small. So it makes it more and more difficult. So again, when we start looking at building our strategy, sometimes the organization doesn't look at these things. And it's important for them to know, if this is where we're going to go and this is the markets in which we're going to be located, is the talent available? And more importantly, who else is seeking to get that talent? Because it might drive our cost process up. So this is what we look at when we're talking about the environmental scan. Now this actually moves us into, once we've done the environmental scan, moves us into what we call the People SWOT. And that's when this really can begin. A SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I'm sure you've seen this before. It's not new, but the internal strengths and weaknesses of an organization are identified, as well as opportunities and threats that are present or may arise in the external environment. And that's all informed by the environmental scan. So this is the framework that will help us evaluate your company's workforce. And you as the HR, this is what you need to be looking at. And specifically here, we look at the competitive position, assess internal and external factors, and then current and future potential as we develop your strategic plan. So let's take a quick look here. And what you'll see is this is all related to people. There is nothing on here about the business itself in terms of our strengths or weaknesses. And so let's take a quick look at a couple of examples. So under strengths right here, we're looking here, you can see in this particular organization a couple of key things. That their leadership at their N-2 and N-3 levels, that means 2 levels down from the CEO and 3 levels down from the CEO. These people have good strength in terms of their leadership. They also have a workforce that has a strong attachment to the mission and vision of the company. So you can see again, we're just putting here things that are really strong and attached to the workforce today. Now, conversely, if we look over here and say weaknesses again, because this is internal, where are some of the gaps that we have in our workforce? Well, you can see here in these, our IT department is a big problem. And when I say the IT is a big problem, you can see that the quality and hire and the talent bench and skill capability have really been eroding over the last couple of years due to budget constraints. That makes it very difficult for us. That also then gives us issues with compensation in the marketplace. Maybe our compensation, we're struggling with that because our market competitiveness is not what other companies would be. There's also some IT redundancies in terms of the positions that are there and also the workforces. So trying to have work design really created in a way that makes sense is really important. So you can see very quickly, we've got some good things and we've got some bad things. This is internally. Now, if we look externally at what are the opportunities and threats. So based on where we are, the opportunities that we see is based on some of these pieces in here, there is an opportunity to reorganize, right size, redefine, whatever you want to call it, the IT department. Recreate it so that they have work that's designed for them to be successful. Other things might be develop a stronger total compensation with the addition of a low cost, high cost value benefits. So where are some things that we can do that are not going to cost us a lot of money but give us a lot of value? Another one would be establishment of a tech-only global satellite office. You see this a lot of times too. If we can't find the talent in the markets we serve, we're going to go elsewhere, whether that's another region or maybe even another country or even another part of the globe, which is why you see all the outsourcing occurring. And then the last piece that we look at over here are what we call threats. Okay, and the threats here basically say this is something that could really derail us if we don't get this right. So you can see here that our current annual retirement eligibility risk is low, but it escalates into a severe situation within 5 years. That means we got a talent pipeline issue. And that's a real threat, because if we don't start bringing in people today and based on the roles that they have, let's say if they're in a pivotal role or a critical role, getting somebody up to speed is not that easy. And finding somebody with that experience can also be difficult. Another one here is the labor demand rapidly outpaces supply of talent in 2 geographies, creating severe talent shortages. So again, what is the availability of talent in those specific markets? Once you do these kind of things, you notice the business SWOT is all about the business. This is all about the people, because the reality is without having the right workforce, the right people in the right roles, in the right time, at the right cost, doing the right jobs, you're never going to be able to deliver on those business objectives that you want to have. So doing a people SWOT and a business SWOT are absolutely essential. More importantly, I tell people this is probably one of the easiest ways that you can do if you overlay your people SWOT on top of your business and say, where are the gaps? It really quickly gets you where you want to be. In sum, by scanning the environment for internal and external issues that could impact the work and function of an organization, senior leaders can better plan for its future workforce needs. The people perspective gathered allows leadership to proactively respond to the workforce implications of business strategy and make more informed decisions about its future. That's the whole key, knowing about the people. Can we deliver on that strategy? Remember, HR's goal is, right, do we have a workforce that's capable of delivering on the strategic business objectives of the organization today as well as the future? Doing an environmental scan and a people SWOT focused on the people perspective gives you that chance. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something that you can apply right away. If you did and want more, please subscribe to our channel below and check out our website for even more content, handouts, and free tools that will take you from where you are to where you want to be. Until next time.